So the florin first appeared in 1552. Sorry, not 1552, 1252. Didn't look, and of course it didn't look anything like this florin here. But it first appeared in 1252 in, where else? Florence, Italy. It was gold at that time and around 3.5 grams. That's about one tenth of a troy ounce. About 100 years later, the English struck what they called a florin, which was worth around 6 shillings. But it wasn't popular, and it soon disappeared from circulation. Now, the half crown, slightly larger coin. The first half crown was struck in 1526 during the reign of Henry VIII. And these original half crowns were gold too. And of course, they later changed to silver. Now, the modern British florin started in 1849 and was in fact an early experiment for decimalization, as it was worth 2 shillings or 1/10 of a pound. The 1849 florin turned out to be problematic, though. It was missing the DG that went with the Queen's portrait. The DG stands for De Gratia, meaning by the grace of God, indicating that Queen Victoria was the reigning monarch by God's will, by the grace of God. But the missing DG did not go over well at all, and the coin, in fact, was referred to as a godless coin. This would not be the first time that something like this happened. It happened in Canada too, in some years later. Perhaps I'll cover that in a future video. The coin did have one interesting thing when it first came out in 1849. While it was missing the DG, it did have written on it 1/10 of a pound. And that was the beginning and pretty much the end of the first experiment in decimalization in British coinage, not to happen again until 1970. But the problem with the missing DG was fixed the following year. Now, the earliest florin I have is this Golden Jubilee issue of 1887. It's in only good condition, as you can tell by the G in the top right of the 2x2. And so she's well worn. As see, Her Majesty's face is worn pretty flat. Now, this style of crown was not that popular. People didn't like it, and I guess the problem was that the portrait, that little crown, people thought it was silly. But apparently the Queen herself liked wearing this particular crown for ceremonies and other occasions. You may remember me mentioning the St. Edward's crown. That would have been the normal crown she would have worn. But as I also mentioned, she found it kind of heavy. So she enjoyed wearing this little crown here, even if everyone else looked at it and thought it looked silly. So, in 1893, the design was changed to a more mature portrait of the Queen Victoria. This one, of course, is well worn and tarnished. And as a matter of fact, both of these coins that I just showed you are, because of their condition, they are, in fact, worth only their bullion value, which is probably just under $10 American, 10 American dollars. In value. So the design on the 1893 one had this, you'll notice on here we got the single lion, that's for Scotland, and then there's another group of 3 lions on a shield for England. There is the harp at the bottom there representing Northern Ireland. Hidden underneath the 3 shields, there's the 4th one at the top there, just under the crown. There's a thistle for Scotland. Not a bad looking coin, even though, as I say, quite well tarnished and quite well worn. Now, the design for Edward VII, who was the King of England from 1902 to 1910, featured this standing Britannia, beautiful coin, as a matter of fact. This one also kind of well worn, only very fine condition. But in this condition, this one's a bit out of the price range, I think, of a lot of young collectors. This one is worth over 30 American dollars. In lower condition, of course, you can get it for bullion value. But beautiful coin, though. I like the standing design. Not too keen on the portrait of King Edward there. No crown, no decorations, just a plain head. But there you have it. So once we get to the George V Florins and the half crowns, most of these, in the condition that I have them anyway, are worth only bullion value. This one here, this is a half crown, 1922, again with a royal shield on it, portrait of George V. And over here then another florin. Again, this one's in very fine condition, maybe slightly more than bullion value, but not too much more. And so again, not that expensive to acquire, as being only worth bullion value in this condition. Now the shape of the royal shield changed, and so in 1927, and here's an example of what the royal shield looked like. This is a 1942 half crown. The design of the florin also changed in 1927. There's the florin there with a big rose representing England in the center of it. That one's from 1940, but that's the new design for the florin. And this is the half crown for the for that as well. Again, the royal shield. We got a big shield divided into 4 segments representing each country or each entity of the United Kingdom. Now, like previous ones that we talked about, the florin and the half crown changed to cupronickel in 1947. There's a cupronickel half crown, 1947. And there's the 1947 florin, again in cupronickel. And of course, like all the other silver British coins that I talked about earlier, they all changed to cupronickel in 1947. Sorry, sir, it's the war. The designs, of course, changed one more time in 1953 with the beginning of the reign of Queen Elizabeth. Here's the half crown under the reign of Queen Elizabeth. Again, still cupronickel, of course. And we have, notice the ER on either side for representing Queen Elizabeth. And there's the shield divided up into 4 segments, crown on top. Not too different from the designs I showed earlier, but just a different shape to the shield. And there's a young head, Queen Elizabeth, and the portrait of the well, actually not a portrait, sorry, this is the new design. We got thistles on here, big rose in the center, thistles, and there's shamrocks in there too. So different items to represent the different entities of the United Kingdom. And again, the young head, Queen Elizabeth, or laureate portrait, I think they refer to it, because she's wearing laurels on her hair, not a crown. And these all disappeared after 1970 with decimalization, of course. Now, for my tangent. I always have a tangent on my videos. The silver coins I just showed you today are quite costly if you want them in mint state condition. But I did want to show that these coins are still within reach if you are willing to settle for one that is not so perfect condition. If you're willing to settle for things like a scratch across the surface, as there is on this one, and the tarnish on this one, if you're willing to settle for that, you can get one for bullion value. and in order to fill the varieties in your collection. I think back to my early days of collecting when I bought well-worn and even scratched and damaged coins just so that I could have an example of each type. When I later had more money to spend, I upgraded and sold the lower grade coins away. Many of them, I just end up giving away. It's, I must admit, it's very satisfying to give away some of your duplicate coins to a little boy who is showing interest in collecting them. Sorry, ladies, it is usually little boys, not usually little girls, that show interest in coin collecting. However, that is a tangent for a future video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and please subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell. This one here, yeah. Don't forget to ring the bell. And if you have any questions, please post in the comments. If you have any suggestions, if you have any corrections. I'm not going to say here that as much as I'm an expert on coins, I'm not going to try to claim that I know absolutely everything perfectly. So if I've made any mistakes, let me know. And of course, if you have any coins that I should display as something that a young collector should try collecting, yeah, please let me know. I might have it in my collection. So I thank again everyone for watching.